Skepta, aka I don't know his real name. Why don't I swear to God I used to know his real name. UK hip-hop grime heavyweight Skepta is back yet a fucking again with a brand new album, Ignorance Is Bliss, 3 years after Konnichiwa, his Mercury Prize-winning last album, which I really enjoyed. That album as a statement strikes me as a very snarky, charismatic, and cynical attack on the music industry, on politics in the UK, on society at large, on the establishment, and I think that's what kind of made it hit home for a lot of people, and it also did a great job at crossing over to American audiences as well. Since that project's released, he has dropped a few kind of like one-off singles here and there, a feature spot here and there as well on albums like Dial It and Testing, both of which definitely broadened his audience a little bit, and I was excited to see where this new album would take him, given that his audience is much larger now. And I know he's been growing quite a bit as a producer as well as a rapper and writer and collaborator. There was also the Vicious EP, which I was a bit underwhelmed by. And there were two singles to this new album, Bullet From a Gun and Grease Mode. I really didn't like Grease Mode at all. I thought it was a very watered down and generic sort of like pop rap song with a very awkward feature from Nath Smalls, who just kind of sounds like a British B-Tech Travis Scott. However, the other single, Bullet From a Gun, really caught me off guard. The beat on that track is not one I would ever picture Skepta on, yet he rides it so effortlessly, and the content on that track was really surprising too. It really enticed me just how low-key he was on the track, rapping about how seeing his daughter in a cot just did more for him and fulfilled him more than any superficial indulgence could, and that is definitely a big theme on this project. Criticizing those who indulge in sort of lavish, expensive stuff, like there's a line on one of the tracks where he says like, oh, your new whip's looking like a spaceship, you're looking like you're stuck in the Matrix, like you're just bored into this tunnel vision mindset of I need to get all these expensive things, and I like the kind of cynical take he has on it. There are also many songs on here where he sounds a little bit paranoid or worried or kind of scared, like on the song Going Through It, where he's just like at the beginning of the song just cycling through his head like sex, money, murder. I kind of take it as if he's kind of acknowledging the darkness of his surroundings. On the track What Do You Mean, he's talking about how he's got to keep something on him, just he's better safe than sorry kind of thing. And his kind of cynical lyricism, that kind of snarky take on these themes, definitely was a very alluring point on this album for me that I wish he kind of drove home a little bit harder, because a lot of these tracks kind of contradict that, as on many of these songs he is just kind of flexing and being braggadocious, like on the song Grease Mode, for example, or on the posse cut Gangsta, or just there are many cuts here where he's just kind of being braggadocious with a bunch of really lame filler punchlines, like the one about how, oh, I'm the Pac-Man because I got a mouth full of dots, like dots as in like drugs and pills. I thought that was a really weak bar. It just makes for an album that never at any point really establishes an identity of its own, which kind of makes for a bit of an unfulfilling listening experience. And on top of that, the production here is just nowhere near as sharp as it was on Konnichiwa. The only few tracks that do kind of feel a bit interesting production-wise, like I think the song No Sleep has a really interesting beat. The way the bells on that beat kind of like just shimmer and ping off my ears is just kind of really weirdly mesmerizing, and the lyrics on this track are pretty entertaining as well. The way he's kind of poking fun at like up-and-coming rappers or promoting like drug use, whereas in the meantime he's just kind of hanging back, minding his business. The way he says like, it's kind of funny how all these guys go rich and then go broke, but it's honestly at its core it's not a laughing joke. Like, it's a bit concerning. I cannot remember what the next thing I said in that review was. Fuck, let me just freestyle. The track Animal Instinct starts off pretty great with one of Skepta's most confident and assured verses on the whole project. The instrumental too is also one of the most melodic and ethereal on the album. It makes for a really nice change of pace in the record, but it also trails off heavily once this featured guy, Lancey Foe, comes on. He has like literally zero charming presence whatsoever. His
auto-tuned vocal acrobatics are just grating as hell to me.
None of his lines are that catchy or anything like that. He just dominates the rest of the song, and in my opinion just totally fucking ruins it. And the features are just generally just really terrible across the board here. The song Redrum or Redrum has one of the most uncomfortable guest verses I've heard on a rap song all year from this dude named Key. It's a shame because the beat on this track is actually, in my opinion, one of the most hard-hitting and gratifying on the album. I kind of love the uncompromising sub bass on this track, the kind of melodic harp like guitar plucks. They sound pretty catchy. But yeah, this track is ultimately just a bit uncomfortable. The Ike Turner bar, man, come on, bro, that's a bit tasteless. Come on, Skepta. Even though there are many very corny and unimpressive one-liners on this thing, there are a couple of pretty decent punchlines. I thought the one about how when he's in Paris with the goons, he could take a selfie and hang it in the Louvre. I thought that was quite funny. My favorite bar on the whole album is that one on the final track when he's like, why they were trying to control S coming around to get saved or something. That is fucking brilliant. Control S, like control Skepta to come in to get saved, like you save using control S on the keyboard. That's fucking nice. There are also a few songs in the middle where he kind of just goes into some relationship struggles he's been through and how he's had trouble finding like a long-lasting partner and how this has kind of caused him to question his own actions. But again, all of these different themes and topics that show Skepta kind of going through what his life has been like lately are just awkwardly paired up with these braggadocious filler tracks, and it just feels completely aimless by the end. And I will say though, the tracks Gangsta and You Wish do make for some of the album's most smile-worthy moments. Love JME's hilarious verse, basically calling out people attempting to buy Gangsta from shop and ending up looking like F1 drivers. Overall, this thing, I'm a bit torn on it. It's kind of a total mess. Production's a little bit tacky. Thematically, it's completely unfocused and has quite a few very corny bars and very many awful features. So ultimately, it left me quite unfulfilled. I'm feeling a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching my review. I will catch you on the next review. Let me know what you thought of this album in the comments, and I'll see you later. Bye!